So, all right, let's see if we get some breaking news here. All right,
Okay, let's see.
do we have a Surge Town movie production in the making?
Ooh, that's
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them out. I'm really biting, they just barking out. I'm really riding, they just parking now. His street, what to talk about. See the big H when I'm walking out. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this episode of Base Coverage presented to you by our partners over at Knoah Teamwear. I'm your host, Jamal Clay. And today, as we officially are heading into week 2 of the ELF, I want to talk to someone that's a part of a team that we're going to get a chance to see for the first time, a new regime, a team everyone's excited about, and that's the Stuttgart Surge. But this one guy I want to talk to is not necessarily a player or a coach, but he's a guy behind the camera, and he's noted for making some dope content. He has a history of playing football over here and being a champion. So I wanted to talk to him a little bit, not just about his experience, but everything that's been going on around Stuttgart, Coach Newman, the new regime, and what life for the Surge is going to look like in the ELF. So I'm bringing in the one and only Nick Alfieri now into the mix today to chop it up a little bit. So right around the corner, let's get to this quick word from our partners over at Knoah Teamwear. So welcome back, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, today's a special one because, as I mentioned before, he's not a player, or he's a former player, not a coach, but is a guy that's on the other side of the grass nowadays. So I'm bringing in the famous Nick Alfieri, aka NALF, into the mix. So what's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, what's up, man? Good to finally be on the show. I've been watching you for a long time, and I'm pumped to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, man. Let me ask this real quick. How's retirement going?
Well, we were just talking about it a little bit off camera. Retirement is weird. It's a transition, like when you're a football player for so long and it's such a big part of your life, and then you stop playing and you still love it. It's an interesting transition. But luckily I have this, I'm not a coach, like you said.
Yeah.
But I still have a connection to the game and to a team, to the Stuttgart Surge, with video production and media and stuff like that. So I still get that little bit of a fix of being a part of a team, which is so special to guys like us. So
yeah,
that's keeping me afloat for now. But the ELF game started this weekend, and it's fun to watch, but it does make you miss it.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's interesting you said, because like once you are retirement, or once you're done playing, you got to find that new niche. And like people ask, like, why I started Athletes Forum, just real quick, just, before we get into it, but like, why, like, I follow like European leagues. Like I needed something to still feel involved or keep me up to date with what was going on in Europe. And that's how this whole thing started. And it's evolved to what it is now. But you do got to find that niche in terms of, right, I'm not playing, but what's something where I could almost feel somewhat involved or still feel part of, connected to.
Exactly, man. So yeah, you and I are both finding a little unique connection to stay involved with the game. It's important for guys like us.
Yeah, that definitely is. Otherwise, we'll drive ourselves crazy. But,
go crazy.
But hey, let's dive into it. Before we get into the Sturge, I want to kind of like get into you a little bit. So like, if you don't know by now, Mr. Nick Alfieri, in terms of guys that haven't followed you, which I don't know why, but player, GOAT, legend, Hall of Fame career with the Schwabershaw Unicorns. Will probably have his 35 hanging up in the rafters somewhere over there. But also GOAT, legend, Hall of Famer with the man behind the camera in terms of filming some dope content on YouTube if you haven't watched. And you may not know this, but you've actually helped influence me in terms of like when I was playing for the Cologne Broncos, and I was sitting in a small village in Switzerland called Core, and I just watch YouTube videos of you, whether it's Robitaille, Rudy, Cody, going on these dope trips like all across Europe. And it kind of opened my mind up, like, all right, this experience is, yeah, I'm here to play football, but it's about a little bit more than, football, and getting out of your comfort zone and being open and, discovering like, what's out there. Yeah. Did you ever think your life would turn out to be, what it is now, not just like, retired, living in Germany, and in your duties now, but obviously, creating that wonderful documentary, Unicorn Town, and the responses you got from it, and like, where you're at now, and you're like, did you ever foresee this getting to this point?
Damn. Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that, man. And yeah, those are some super special times, especially, being an import and kind of doing those vlogs with those guys that we had such a great connection. And we had, being an import in Europe is, of course, you're coming over to play football, but that's one of the things that just fascinated me so much is, we're guys who football has been our whole life, and now we're playing football in a different country, and it opens up so many things. And we're traveling to places we never would have gone. And every time we're in a new city, we're like, damn, man, look where football has taken us. So I think that's a super cool, special thing about being an import. And so I appreciate you saying that about those videos, and those are always fun to look back on. Man, as far as how kind of life has turned out, no, didn't expect this at all. Like, for those who don't know, I left film school to come over and play football in Germany for one season.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You say film school, you left USC. To come over here. And for those that don't know, that's like not just one of the top institutions in America, but one of the top film schools. You're talking about guys like, Will Ferrell that's been coming out there, and a whole lot of other greats. So you left USC to come. I'm not going to take a chance, but just bet on yourself in terms of what you wanted to do over here.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was definitely a chance because, when I got into USC film school, I applied as just like, oh, there's no way I get in here. And I did get in. Oh, can I curse? Oh, damn.
Yeah, like, let it rip. Of course you could, man.
Okay. Oh, damn. Like, I did not expect this. And so to end up leaving there was kind of, on one hand, it was a tough decision. Like, on paper, it's like, oh, is this smart? This is probably kind of stupid. This is a great opportunity. You shouldn't really leave this. But so on paper, it was a difficult decision, but like, just in my gut, it felt so right to go play football in Germany. And I remember standing on the street in Los Angeles, being on the phone with Coach Jordan Newman, 8 years ago, and him kind of telling me about the Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns and this team and what football in Germany is like. And I was like, yep, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. But I thought, and I told USC, I was like, hey, I'm going to take a leave of absence. I'll be back in, a year. So I'll see you next year. And I'm still on that leave of absence. So I don't know if they still have my place held for me. But yeah, man. So it just kind of unfolded totally unexpected in so many different ways. And each year, the first year I was out here in Germany, we lost the German Bowl kind of in a heartbreaking fashion. And so we had a great group of imports and a great core group of guys on the team that we all were super close. We're like, hey, let's come back and try and win this thing. Yeah. We can't all go back to our lives after losing like that. We did that, and then we all got
like that.
Yeah, then we all got hooked, and then it was just kept going, and that's how the story unfolded.
4 or 5 years later, those same group of guys are still over here in Europe, still playing, living, and enjoying this experience.
Exactly, and there's a lot of cool people that I met in those years that are now playing throughout the ELF, whether it's on the Surge or on different teams. And so that also gave me just such a great opportunity and experience just to meet so many people in the European football world and community, which I'm super grateful for.
Most definitely. And, obviously I wanted to dive into that a little bit because that's kind of like one of like the unspoken things about being an import. Yeah, you're here to play football. You're here to develop the game, and, we're paying you and stuff like that. But, this is also an opportunity that I guess we could say this is an opportunity like less than 1% of the 1% even get, right? It's funny because less than 1% in America, football players make to the NFL. Less than 1% of whatever 1% even get this opportunity to take advantage of what we were able to take advantage of.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like it is such a rare experience. I mean, also when you have the limit, especially for American guys, like there's a limit on how many Americans you can have on teams here in Europe, and it's a limited amount of spots. And so when you get that opportunity, I always tell anybody who gets the opportunity to come play in here, go do it. You have no idea how rare it is and how unique of an experience it is. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely opened my eyes up. And I'm sure you could say the same thing to, a different perspective of life, so to say.
Absolutely. Just like broadens your horizons in so many different ways. And it's one of the best experiences ever for me. And I'm sure for you too.
Yeah, well, most definitely. And, during that little, you mentioned, being on the phone with Coach Jordan Newman, who's now taking over the Stuttgart Surge. Stuttgart Surge within their first 2 years, 2-20 record. Obviously, that's not ideal.
Not the best.
Not the best, but this is a new regime coming in. And you would know better than almost anyone in terms of the type of guy, the type of coach Jordan Newman is. So not necessarily what makes him the guy for the job, but what is it about Jordan Newman where everywhere he seems to go, he's had success?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I can say about Coach Newman, and I think every single player that's played for him will feel the same way. I mean, we talk about him; these are guys who are like, yeah, I'd run through a brick wall for Coach Newman, and that's the type of guy that he is. Of course, he's a super talented football coach that has great scheme and is just very smart on the football front. But I think what's even extra special about Coach Newman, and also kind of the staff that he's built around him and the people that he has around him, in this culture that he's kind of set wherever he goes, is you can tell this is a guy who cares about you off the field, in a really genuine way. And there's some coaches that kind of give you like a rah-rah speech that's, let's go out there, we're gonna fuck them up, we're gonna do this, and you can feel it's a little surface level. With Coach Newman, it's deeper than that. It's super genuine. This is a guy who cares about you off the field, and that's what really, like, for me personally, and I know a lot of guys, brings out the best in you as a player, is going to battle for a guy like that, or going to a battle for a guy like Johnny Brenner, the defensive coordinator for the Surge. And so I think that's a super special thing about these guys and all the coaches that they've surrounded themselves with, and that's something I think is super impressive.
And I think when you're going into a situation like this, where obviously you're taking over a team that doesn't have a great track record, you got to change not only you got to change the people, you got to change the culture. And it seems like he's been able to do that thus far. And just looking at his past experience with the Unicorns, he didn't really have to change the culture that much. It was already an established program, but he added his twist, brought in his guys, and obviously you guys had success. Looking at the Surge now, obviously, you're there, you're around the team in practice. You got a lot of friends and old teammates that are part of the staff and on the team right now. Obviously, you guys didn't have the benefit of playing week one, and your week two matchup is against probably one of the most anticipated teams people have been waiting to have in all year, up in the Paris Musketeers. Obviously, we could go through the spiel of Zach Edwards, Kaswi, Tamer, all that. But this Stuttgart Surge team is different. Leading into your, I guess, first game of the season, right, where you're going to play a team like Paris, do you sense like do you get like a different sense, a different feel, different energy that, okay, this league might be a little different than the one we just played in?
Yeah, I mean there is, of course, like I've sat down with Jordan, Coach Newman, a few times, whether it's for a podcast or an interview or stuff like that. And I've asked him stuff like that. And of course there is a heightened level of what would you call it? Urgency, I guess, in the ELF. Not just with the on the field stuff, but with all the stuff surrounding everything, and traveling to a different country, playing teams in a different country. You've got all of these different rules and regulations, stuff you have to follow, coming from a different league, coming from the GFL now to the ELF. So there's that. There is a lot more kind of stuff to juggle. But a thing about, like, of course, this is a huge game, the first game for the Surge, season opener in this new regime. But something that Jordan always says is, we don't, and this is what he has said to me in some interviews in the past, is let's not make things a bigger deal than they are. Like, let's not blow them up too much. Of course, this is a big game, but we take everything one step at a time. And I think there's a level of urgency, but there's also a level of calm, and it's a nice balance that I think that Coach Newman and the staff kind of bring in the energy there. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I would interpret it.
Yeah, and it's great to just keep everyone level-headed, right? Like obviously, you said it perfectly. There's a sense of urgency, but I think a lot of people. I think that's why people apply pressure for no reason. When we're trying to make things bigger than what they are. So I loved it about hearing that from Jordan. In sports in general, we tend to define success by you got to win the championship, and obviously Jordan has done that in the GFL, and he's coming into the ELF where he's taken over, the Surge, and we all know their history as documented. So outside of a championship, how would you? And not saying this is, this has come from Coach Jordan or it's come from the team, but in your personal opinion, outside of a championship, how would you define success for the Surge this season?
That's a great question, and that's something that I asked Jordan directly, and I'm going to plagiarize his answer because it's a great answer and one that really kind of resonates with me, and I think is a great answer. Is that of course the goal for every team has to be to win as many games as possible and win the championship and all of that, but really the more immediate goal, I think, and what would be a success for the Surge is that when the Surge take the field next week, the Stuttgart Surge take the field next week in Paris, that there's a clear difference in energy and performance and culture on the field that fans and viewers of the team can see. Like, this is a clear difference. Oh, this is a new chapter. This is a different team, and they're setting the tone right now from week one. And, kind of keeping in line with what Coach Newman has said is like, let's take this one day at a time. So we're not going to say, oh, success for the team will be winning X amount of games and going to the playoff. Like, success will be that there's a clear difference and a positive step in the right direction of this team and how people feel about the team and interpret the team and how the performance is.
Yeah. And I guess one thing that you could say about that is, it's a marathon, right? The cliche, it's a marathon, right? You don't want to microwave the process, right? You want to be you also don't want to be half pregnant in the process either. You want to be full committed in or out. So it sounds like he has a plan. He's established what that plan would be. It doesn't change from, whether it's the Surge or the Unicorns or whatever. He's going to stick true to what he is and what's got him to the success that has gave him in his career thus far. So I mean, that's going to be a game. I mean, I know we just mentioned don't blow it up, but that's definitely going to be a game because a lot of people are excited about, the Surge team and seeing like what they're about. And you got to see them, firsthand, being with practice and stuff like that. Quick thoughts, whether it was watching in the league last year or watching some of the games this weekend, what are your quick thoughts on the league thus far?
Man, the thing that I'm most excited about with the league is the competitive nature across the board, like week by week. In the past, like with my experience with football in Europe and in Germany playing with the Unicorns, we were lucky enough to have a great team for many years. And so we had a handful of super competitive games each year, not on a week-to-week basis. I think that's what's super exciting for people following the ELF is that these games seem like, of course, the Berlin and Hungary game was a little bit more of a blowout, but some of these other games are quite competitive.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard. Like if you look at the power rankings that the ELF, the preliminary ones that the ELF came out with before the game started, I think some people were surprised by some of the results in the games this weekend so far and how competitive certain teams were. And I think that's what's super exciting is we really don't really know. It's anyone's game this year. And to be able to tune in and week out and have an exciting story of a season, that's what I'm like as an ELF fan and a football fan in Europe and somebody that wants to see football in Europe thrive. That excites me.
There's parity. And I said this before, and I said this before, whoever wins the championship this year, right, it's going to be earned. And not saying it wasn't earned between year one and year two, but it's going to be earned this year because there's more parity between the top, the bottom, and the middle. Like the talent is so evenly spread out throughout the season, throughout this year that, almost 80% of the teams have a legitimate chance in terms of the talent that they have compared to like what it was last year or what it was, or what it was the year before. Like year one, you know, I remember like obviously when we were learning about the league, people were saying, "All right, it's going to be Frankfurt Hamburg." I'm like, "How do you know? How do you know?" But obviously, like you know, they're there. And then last year, you had about 3 teams at the top, and then the middle was just a cluster of like average. But this year, I just feel like there's so much parity that these games are exciting. These games are exciting.
Yeah, I mean that's like we saw the start of it yesterday. I think it seems like even like the Panthers probably surprised some people. I know Cologne surprised some people, myself included a little bit, of just how competitive everything was, and that's just that's. Who you're a guards guy, right?
I got to root for my Switzerland team, man.
Yeah. I was checking them out last night. Yeah.
So I played 3 seasons over there, even though I had opportunities to go elsewhere, whether it was Austria or Finland.
Right.
I got love for my Cologne Broncos, man. So I got, even though there's not a lot of them on the team, I got to root for the country I played in. So we got some work to do, but we'll figure it out.
No, yeah. So you know, Silas is looking great yesterday, as always. Like,
we gotta get Silas some more help, though. We gotta get Silas some more help.
That is true.
All right, 2 quick questions before we wrap this up. One, these are some fun questions.
Okay, cool. I like that one.
If I was creating a movie about Mr. NALF, I'm gonna call it NALF. Who plays NALF in my movie?
that is a good good question. You know, I always get told, or often have been told, I resemble a poor man's Zac Efron. So I would say Zac Efron probably would be my actor, my go-to actor.
I'll take it. I actually can see it a little bit. I'll take it. And then last one here. So, all right, let's see if we get some breaking news here. All right.
Okay, let's see.
Do we have a Surge Town movie production in the making?
Ooh, that's a good question. That is a good question. I have let me say I'm gonna plead the fifth. I'm gonna plead the fifth. Is that what I said? Yeah. To hold off on releasing information. That is a great question, though.
There we go. Well, we'll keep people wondering about it. But hey, man, you know, this has been. I've been waiting to get you on. Like I said, I watch you from afar. I'm inspired by your work. I always follow like all your videos, stuff like that. The movie was great. Even though I kind of had an idea of the history of it, but actually just watching it and like obviously talking to Cody and you know meeting him and you know meeting some of you guys before. I'm like, you got a fan in me, my friend. So I appreciate you coming on. This is awesome. I'm excited to watch. You know, Surge Musketeers coming up this weekend, and it's going to be a journey. But hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, my man.
Thanks so much, Jamal. It was great. Thanks for having me.